So, why inner peace in business? That's what we are going to talk about. I've been for ages in business and in management, and I know that there is not a lot of peace in there, but there is power, there is performance, there is finance. Well, everything else than inner peace. So, and I tell you that inner peace is a strategic component in these days for being successful in business. And I will tell you why. Andreas talked about energy in his webinar. He was the first one. He started the 4 webinars we're providing to you. And his formula was energy means clarity divided by barriers. I talk about these barriers and I transform the formula a little bit because barriers means to me it's just love over fear. What does that mean? Do you ask yourself sometimes how often do you act driven by fear? And when do you act driven by love? Just think about, be aware of it. Most of us act driven by fear. We're fear of making a mistake. We're fear of not being loved. There's a long list of these fears we're driven by. And we will talk about energy and the energy of emotions, and then you will see why this is not helpful at all. Let us see a short video and just sit back and look at this video and see what it does with you. What do you say? What is the thing which is responsible how you perceive the world? What is it? It's your inner state. Because I think I've never been in New York and then this wonderful classical music was playing on the streets, out on the streets. No, it's always busy like hell. And you really have to watch that you not get driven over by a car. Okay? So what is the thing that we can change ourselves within ourselves? It's our inner state. And that helps how we perceive the world, how we decide how we act. And in what state do you think do you make the right decisions? In the first one or in the second one? When you feel really peace and quiet within yourself? Or when you really hectic in your mind, when your emotions jump up and down, when you do thousands of things together, or when you're just stable within? When do you make the right decisions? I think the answer is clear. But how do we get to this state, to this inner, peaceful, and very powerful state? I want to talk about some basics. You may have heard about this already also in the webinar which Sveta provided to you and in the webinar Andreas provided to you. So I kind of sketch some basics, and then the last step of how to reach this inner and peaceful state is really important, but I don't tell you now which one it is. And I forgot at the beginning, of course, you get a goodie at the end of this webinar. So stay with me. What is the essence of being? Most of us concentrate a lot on the physical body, on our mental level, and on the emotional level. All these levels we follow our mind instead of we guide our mind. Okay? We become our mind even, and we believe that is me. But this is wrong. I'm not my mind. The mind is a very valuable tool I can use, but often it uses us. And then our mind creates story and story and story again about when I want to do this investment. Oh, there are so many risks. What do others think? What does my bank account tell me? Of course, this is really important that I think about this, I know. But our mind creates stories of fear, and it makes chaos most of the time. Decisions, the right decisions, do not sound very loud. The mind does not have to create these stories. The right decisions come deeply from our heart. And whenever we're connected to our core and to our heart, we know in a second what is right or wrong. So let me call all these levels. When they are too much in our concentration, in our focus, this is actually the false I, the fake I. What are we really? And when are we really in this deep inner peace, in this powerful state? That's when we reach our core. Our core is nothing else than love, inner peace, and it also helps us to be one with each other, one among each other. And this is really, really important too, when we reach our core deep inside here, we also find our divine quality, which is very, very close to our purpose, which helps us to live up to our purpose. So our true essence, and this is very important, the true essence of every person is love and inner peace. But you see, the layers around, there is the emotional layer, then there is the mental layer and the physical layer. And often our focus and our consciousness is far out here, looking out into the world and ask, help me, please, demanding a lot from the outer world. This is not the state we should be in to go for important decisions in our lives. Not for important investment decisions. Because it's wrong, it's fake. So, state we are in is really important. And now, how do we get there? We have to overcome all these levels to find this peace, love, this strength, this power in here. What does overcoming mean? One basic is we have to accept we are energy. Everything is energy. My mind, my body, my emotions, everything I send out is energy. And always, every second in our life, I send and receive information through this energy. And always, I am in permanent exchange with the outer world, and I'm influenced or I influence. That's a real big difference. Do you realize what that means? So, in what state do I have to be that I am not influenced too much and controlled by the energy of others, but in a state that I am influencing in the way I want to? How do I do that? It's not about power. It's not about money. It's about, again, this inner state. Because the closer I am in this to this core of inner peace and love, the more I can influence the outer world in a positive way. In a positive way. So we have to accept everything is energy. Most of your thoughts and emotions throughout the day, is it on like preventing some problems? Is it on anger? Is it on frustration about your job or your family, your private life? Or is it about joy and happiness? Is it about serving the world and other people, animals, and nature? Where is your focus? And the more you concentrate on something, the more it will become reality. The more it goes in resonance with. You may know if a lot of people walk begins to swing, and this could be dangerous even that the bridge breaks. You know that. So that's resonance. When all of us think about like doing a crime, think about a sad story, this accumulates our power. And also in the opposite, when all of us are driven by our heart, by our love, by joy, by gratitude, then this adds up too, and it has a huge impact on our wonderful world. So, how do you decide? How do you decide where do you direct your energy? Because the source for war and for peace, it lies within you. It lies within every one of us. And fighting against something does not help. Because being against something means that I give my energy, let's put war here, I give my energy into this war. So it's really important that we focus on something we want, which we perceive as good, as positive. So I walk my path for peace. That's a huge difference. And I hope you realize that. Andreas already told you about this human and organizational energies, that there are four of them: the spiritual energy, the emotional energy, the mental energy, and the physical energy, which means the body. And these three impact the body a lot. So if we're not aligned with these three energies, the body will suffer and we will become ill. If we're very happy, if we're in a wonderful, positive mental state, and also our spiritual energy, our goals, our vision, our focus, everything is aligned and positive, then we are healthy. What do you think? Which energy is the strongest one? Which has the most impact on us and on our world? It's either the spiritual energy, which Andreas talked about with his purpose topic, but it's the emotional energy. One says that emotional energy is 5 times stronger than the mental energy. So it does not help if I say, well, I'm the nicest woman on this planet. And I just keep telling me that with my head, but I don't feel it. That does not help. I have to feel the topics. I have to feel what I want to be or what I am. I have to feel what I want to reach. This energy is the strongest one. And especially in business, how much do we use quite young already in business management? People always told me, I was in IT and telecommunication, so there were a lot of men around me and me as a woman in management there. And a lot of people told me back then, you have two mistakes. One is you're still young, and the second, you are a woman and emotional. Now, when I look back, I have to laugh because emotions are so valuable if we know, of course, how to deal with them. And that's what we have to learn also in business. Because, see here again, this is the emotional layer and it lies very close to the core. So if we don't learn to deal with our emotions, we will never cut through to our deep core, to our really deep inner peace. And I said it already, this is the most powerful state we can be in. And if everyone in business in the world acts from this powerful center, then you have the most sustainable and long-lasting business. I can guarantee you that. Okay, come back here. So we talk a little bit about emotions now. How do we deal with them? I already said this. Be aware in what direction you guide your mental and your emotional energy. You decide. I said I sketch some topics. I don't go deep into all these topics here because otherwise we would have 3-day seminars together. I mean, we can have that. I will tell you at the end about one seminar I provide. But here, this is an example of the emotional body of the human being. And you see already again here some circles. This is when the emotional body of the human being is conditioned. It's not in its pure state in this chart. It's the emotions we have to deal with. I think all of us have to deal with like pain, fear, anger, want to control everything, and so on. And you see here, that would be the nice layer, the positive, nice layer. But when we're in our negative state, this is primordial worthlessness. We feel worthless, helpless, not useful, whatever, how you call it. It's a state we don't want to go into. So most of the time, we're kind of in pain, fear, anger. And our pain already starts early in our childhood, even when we were born. I don't have to tell you all these stories about what happens with us when we're children, and when our parents shout at us, when we don't feel loved, and so on. So this is painful. So in very early ages, we learn what pain is. And of course, we don't want to get there anymore. That's why our deepest fear, actually, which surrounds this pain, our deepest fear is actually to have to feel this pain again. So that's why we try to avoid it. And the fear is the next kind of personality, emotional personality, which develops within us. So this emotional personality, every one of us has this fear and also this pain. And of course, we we don't want to like show that we are fearful. So anger builds up. We get angry if we feel that, oh, I'm fearful. Because also in business, again, who really is open enough and said, I don't dare. I'm fearful right now. I'm scared to go to the boss's office. I'm scared to take this decision, whatever. Nobody does. So, and then anger comes, and anger makes it big, you know? Whenever you are angry, feel this anger, accept it, and then feel it through. And you will realize that behind this anger, you will feel fear. Most of the time, behind anger, there is fear or pain. And the anger just wants to to protect us from feeling the others. So another circle then is control. Of course, we then realize anger does not help, fear does not help. I still feel my pain, so I have to control everything in my life. Everything what happens. I have to know everything. Controlling what happens at home, controlling what happens in the office. And this makes our life really, really complicated. And with this control, with this conditioned control also, this brings us far away from our core, because our mind tries then really to overlook everything, to control everything. And this brings us far away. You remember the image I showed you? This brings us far away from our core. Our mind is then always busy, busy, busy. And this is really stressful. What happens when we're in this permanent stress state? You may have heard a lot about this, about what happens to our body with blood pressure, with more heart attacks, and there's a lot of things when we're always in this stress state in the mind and in the emotions. A lot of things happens with our body and we get ill. And another thing is, a lot of things happens then to our brain, because our brain then shuts down a lot of parts which we would need to really go into clever decisions, because then our brain shuts down and just tries to react in case something really, really bad happens to us. So if we're in this permanent stress, because we have to manage our emotional parts here, our emotional personalities I showed you, we cannot decide properly anymore. We cannot decide about proper investments, about proper business topics. It's not possible anymore. I don't talk about this depression, but look at this. Once our emotional part realizes that we are not capable of managing this part of the pain within us, part of the fear, anger, control, etc., once we realize that, we feel shamed. Kind of be ashamed that we are not capable of managing our life. That's a really deep, hurting feeling. I don't go deeper into this. I show you how it could look like. If we learn to deal with our emotions and with our emotional body, we can transform all this energy which lies within fear or anger or control. We can transform it. And then the same chart looks like this. It looks really wonderful, because then we come into self-leadership. We come into this state of really being truthful, of feeling real and deep trust. And you see this in the center, in the core, we then feel self-love. How do we get there? How do we transform from this emotional state, which we are most of the time in? And of course, we do not want to accept it, that we are in there. How do we transform it to this state? Of course, this again needs much more time to really go deep and work on it. But one thing I can tell you, and this is really important, this is the most important thing. Often we try to push emotions like this just away. We push them away. We don't want to listen to them. We don't want to have them. We feel ashamed to be angry, for example. What happens if we work against these emotions? What happens within us? They add up, because we still give them energy, and they add up. They get bigger, bigger, and bigger and stronger, until we really have to listen to them, because we do not have the power to push them away. You know what I mean? So the first really important thing is just to accept, to be aware, and to accept that it is there. I have to accept that I am fearful. Full stop. I have to accept that probably still someone can hurt me. Full stop. That this pain is within me. That's it. That's one. To be aware of, to recognize. So it's an awareness training. And to accept. And then the third, and have the courage to do that, please. Just live through it. Just go through. Live it. When I was growing up in really difficult. I had a difficult childhood. I was given away by my first mom. Then I came into another family. Then they divorced. Then I came into a third family, and I always say I have three mothers, but all these mothers were really iron hearts. They did not once hug me or caress me or whatever. I really lacked this motherly love. And that was hard. That was so painful. And for a long time I did not even know what I lacked. Because yeah, how should I yeah. And when I then started, it's 25 years ago, to learn about this emotional body we have, to what is an emotion. I mean, I was always told, you're strong. And whenever I cried, my father said, okay, why do you cry? You don't know it. Okay, then, zack, there you've got another one. Okay, so how should I be able to know what is an emotion? What does it mean? So then I started, as I said, about 25 years ago, my first education, and there we talked about these deep, deep, deep emotional states we're in, and about these personalities, these emotional personalities which are within us. And I started to deal with them, and I'm still so grateful I had the courage to feel them. It hurts so much, I tell you. At the beginning, when I confronted myself with the pain within, it was hard. And there were some states when I just cried. And I couldn't say why. And my husband came in and wanted to help. What is it? What can I do for you? I said, nothing. I just have to cry. But it helped because finally I accepted everything which was deep lying within myself. Every emotion, also helplessness, usefulness, hopelessness, and wow, I found so much. And I had the courage to live through. Because once we live through it, it gets lighter and lighter and even lighter. And suddenly it dissolves. There's a really special process you can do there. I cannot teach it here. I'm sorry for that. It's not really difficult, but it takes a little bit more time. But you can dissolve these emotions. You can transform them. And then the energy gets free. And you can use this energy for a completely different focus. You can then transform these like negative emotions into these positive, powerful emotions. And finally, it all ends up with love, self-love, and inner peace. So just remember this. Be aware of, accept it, whatever is there, feel through it. Okay. Why do we do that? You see here, there's a lot of scales like that. I just show you one. Every emotion has energy, and sometimes they have a range in so-called negative energy. And then, of course, also positive energy we send out there. And the positive always dissolves the negative. So the more you are in these positive energies of, let's say, enthusiasm, gratitude, joy, happiness, the more you are there, the more, of course, your state is like growing, or your state gets more powerful. You find more and more to this core, but you are influencing the world, yourself, your company, the people in your business in a really positive and very powerful way. That's why this transformation is so important. Okay? The beauty of positive emotions, I mean, you can read through this yourself. The most important thing, I mean, there's a lot more positive uh, positive things you get out if you come into these positive emotions. But here, see, everyone, this improved memory, improved decision making, that's everything we use in business. Everything is so much needed in business. And if we're in the negative emotions, your memory does not work really properly. You're not capable of making the right decisions. So think about that. It's really worthy of having your whole company transformed into positive emotions, and not just let's talk about it here. No, let's do it deep with your heart. This needs courage at the beginning, but afterwards it's just joy and fun, I tell you. I like to ask you, in what state are you in now? Are you like thinking, angry, happy, joyful? Whatever it is, I give you a very, very easy exercise. I think I have time. A very easy exercise you can do anytime, whenever you go to a difficult meeting, whenever you feel like a little bit nervous, whatever. Let's sit straight or also comfortable. Breathe quite normally, the way you do it always. And now you take a deep breath. While breathing out, close your eyes. And just watch your breath. You do not have to change anything. Just watch your breath. Breathe in and breathe out. And now go with your consciousness into your body to the spot where your heart lies. You may put a hand there in the middle of your breast. And now imagine that you are breathing through your heart. Just imagine, just let it flow. If you have an image, it's okay. If not, also. Just breathe through your heart. And now go a little bit slower than usual, just a tiny little bit. And if you concentrate on this heart breathing, you may realize that your face is relaxing. And if you imagine that in the heart, love is sitting, the purest state we can be in, you may even smile. We already stop here. Just come back. Come back with your consciousness. Open your eyes again. Be here in this moment again. And I'm quite convinced that you feel a bit different than before. This is a very, very easy exercise, heart breathing. And why did I tell you that? Because another basic topic is heart coherence. What does that mean? Heart coherence means that it's an optimized state in which your mind, heart, and emotions are ordered and in unison. And all your systems are synchronized and working together in an optimal combination with optimal energy. One has found out that if we are heart coherent, acting in heart coherence, we have our optimal energetic state. And this is really important because when we're in this state then coming out from the heart steers this state, and it has a huge and positive influence on our mental processes and also then on our performance. Again, this is really important for business. You can read a lot about heart coherence and the studies behind it. It's heartmath.org or .com. You can go and read. They do a lot of studies for 40 years already, and you can train this heart coherent state. And this short exercise we did is the basic breathing technique to become heart coherent. So this is really important to know. And the combination here is we could go further now and combine it with high and positive emotions. We have seen that they have a high energetic level. And if we combine this breathing with these high vibrational feelings, then you get a really high heart coherent state, which means you get into the most optimal state of performing. Important for you at home, of course, but for business, for decision taking, again. Okay? And this heart coherent is measurable. There's some kits, you can measure it, you can train it. This is a lot to talk about. This would be a separate topic, a separate webinar, or even a training I do also for business, for teams and everything. But just that you hear it, go into this topic, Google it, and probably decide on really going with your team to train this heart coherence. Okay. I have to watch time a little bit. So I don't tell you everything which on this slide, it's a little bit too much, but please realize that our heart is the driving force. Our heart sends 70% of information go from the heart to the mind and not vice versa. That's why it's so important that we change the focus from working all just in the mind to working with and in our heart. Really, really important. And here you have also some effects on coherence training, heart-brain coherence training. There, as I said, a lot of studies, a lot of practical significance, practical examples, which I don't tell you now, but see, and again, it expands the cognitive abilities, the problem-solving capabilities, learning and comprehension skills, and so on. And to me, the most important thing is it helps us to access our intuitive intelligence, which can also say that it lies in our core. So that's the circle we make here. We heard now the power of emotions is really important. We are energy, really important. And now heart-brain coherence. Now the last step. What is then? What is the most difficult thing to cut through all these layers to really be here? What is it? It's self-reconciliation. We often feel shamed. We feel guilt. Things like that, for what we have done, for what we have not done. And whenever we are in this state, nobody can help us to get out there. Nobody. This is such a, how shall I put it, strong energy, which lies between me and my core, my really love for myself. It's so strong. I'm lost. If I am lost in my guilt and shame, I'm also lost in life. I cannot find the right word. I just feel it. It's so important that we learn to forgive ourselves and to go even deeper, to go into this self-reconciliation. I mean, when children told me that I look like a tomato with a red round face, I mean, this was deeply hurting, you know? But I did not have the courage to stand up and say, no, this is not the case. And I could not forgive myself for I did not stand up. And the even more important thing is that deep within, I looked in the mirror, in the inner mirror, and I told myself, they are right. You know, I condemned myself. And that is happening a lot in our lives. If we really go deep in certain situations, we realize that we are condemning ourselves. That's why the other ones come and tell us, because we're already sending this out. That's resonance again. It's probably too complicated for you now. I'm sorry for that, if it is. But hopefully you understand what I mean. Whatever I carry within and whatever I think about me, and however I deal with myself, it sends out and people react to that. So only a lot of years later, I realized, hey, I told things like that to myself. I could not accept myself the way I was. That's why people or children at that time came up to me with such nasty things. But of course, first reaction was, they are the bad. They do bad to me. Yes, they did. But the source was lying within myself. So that's why it's so important that we learn to reconciliate with ourselves. So, but come back to business. Also, we have these processes of conflict resolution. They are really on a high level. Someone came to me and said, you know, my boss told me I should not go in the same meeting with this and this person because we're always quarreling. Well, that's not conflict resolution, you know. That's just coloring another paint on the wall, but the dirty wall is still behind. So a true conflict resolution process is these 5 steps. First of all, we have to stop condemnation in the outside because the responsibility lies within us. We are responsible. Second is a forgiveness process, kind of a forgiveness process, which is more on the mental state. I try to understand why this other person has done this and that. And then probably I can accept, okay, yes, I forgive you. But this is not the whole process. It's not enough because if still it hurts within me, there are feelings which I have to be aware, which I have to transform. And most of the time I'm then in self-reconciliation process, which goes really deep. So I then transform within myself. And then, only then, I'm capable of going into reconciliation in the outside with the people, with the world, with my history, with my parents, with the situation I am in, whatever. And then the last step, of course, I give feedback. I will not tolerate how you talk to me. That's okay. But if I say this sentence when I'm still deeply hurt here, somewhere, then it comes like, wow, I'm hurting the other person, I'm condemning the other person. But if I go through this process first and then give the feedback, it's a real different story. This is the process which should it being established in every team, in every business, because only with this process you really find the power of peace and love within to act on a high performance. That's it, full stop. I told you it's not about just to forgive, because this happens in the mind. It's about reconciliation through our heart. And if we do that, so much energy will be set free. So this is the ultimate step for unleashing our potential. So find the courage, face your personal issues, and in business, help people to face their issues. Help them, support them. It will count for you double, triple, whatever. I guarantee. Invest in your people that they can face their topics. Well, some advantages thanks to a culture of reconciliation. You can read it here. And you probably know how much a conflict, which let's say 3 to 5 people are involved, how much it costs you. It costs you a fortune, I tell you. And if you can save 50% just by announcing or by implementing a process for reconciliation, a culture of reconciliation and peace, well, of course, that counts. a huge positive impact also in innovation and creativity. I'm sorry I have to hurry up a little bit, but I hope you got that. So, one last thing I promised you is, what are you going to do with all these things I told you now in your office? Go and act on it. So, how to integrate peace management in your business? Just some examples, some ideas. Of course, we should go through it and work on it in a very deeply and individual way with you. But first, declare. Work on a peace carta. Some examples here. Feelings are valuable and we respect them. We are a peace and purpose-driven mindset. We work with a peace and purpose-driven mindset. These good things you could write in your peace carta and then, of course, live it, not just write it. Then train your people about all these topics we talked about here. Train them. Go also probably into heart math training, heart coherence training. Train them to active to listen. I did not talk about soul senses, okay? Tell them about the essence of being, this energy, and so on. Training, training, training. You do a lot of process training. Yeah, of course, I was into this stuff for ages. It's okay. But I tell you, these trainings are much more important. These trainings are basic. And then act on it. Introduce some rituals, for example, that at the end and beginning of every meeting, you do this heart breath. Create some space where reconciliation can happen. Put a bank there where people can go, and train people in communication. There are so much ideas behind this, how you can integrate peace management. You can also start measuring it. But do it, please. And two things. Most important, be a role model. Don't just talk about it, please, but live it. Be a role model. Start talking about your emotions. Start going through your emotions and so on. And do not accept blaming others and this typical victim attitude which a lot of people run around with. Do not accept it. That's some hints how you can integrate peace management in your business. So next steps, we have a retreat for impact and love. It starts already on Sunday, so this may be a little bit too late for you, but I'm quite sure we'll have another one. So check this on the website. You hopefully now understand why I called my training for reconciliation. It's a 3 days training. Set yourself free. Free yourself from this energy. And you will fly like an eagle. You will be free and internally independent. It's just the greatest gift you can make yourself. If you like, you can read my book. It's all about self-reconciliation. It's my life written in there. It's only in German for the time being. I will translate it hopefully later. If you want a short talk, you've got the links here. All other concerns, just write me. More informations are here. And of course, contact us whenever you have questions via ISS, via Bishiro. Now, our dear friend Sweta, she provided the second webinar. She will have a wonderful session, Leadership from Within. You see it here on May 6th. You can still join in Zurich. Do yourself or help yourself with this session.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day. Thank you, Antoinette. Thank you, everyone,
Thank
for being
you.
here.
Bye-bye,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Bye-bye. Lots of
Bye-bye.
love to everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.